So I'm reading this Star Trek, the newspaper strips, volume 1. I talked about it on one of my other videos the other day. I subscribed to these Eagle Moss collections, and this one you'll see is collection number volume 15. And we'll have to do a video one day where I talk about some of the other volumes. I really like these things. They're hardcover bound editions of all Star Trek comic from all the different publishers. This was put out by IDW a few years back. I talked about this a little bit in a video. Basically, these comic newspaper strips came out right around the time of Star Trek the Motion Picture, and that was generally around 1980. And they debuted in newspapers, but because there was so many comic strips already, like Spider-Man, Star Wars was big back then. Also, they had a daily and a weekly strip. Not too many papers carried these things, but a lot of local smaller papers did. So the paper here in Springfield, Mass carried it. And for about 4 years, I found myself cutting out the daily strips and posting them in a little book I had, along with the weekly Sunday color versions. And I did this for about 4 years, and they're great stories. They have a lot of different writers and artists that did a lot of Trek throughout the years. You'll see here where it says basically created by Thomas Workington, Ron Harris. I think you'll notice some names are big here. Martin Pascow, Jerry Conway, Larry Niven, who was a science fiction writer that did a lot of the Kazinti stories, wrote a episode of Star Trek the Animated Series, wrote a couple novels, and he even lends his characters, who were kind of like alien cats called Kazins, to Star Trek. And these are very good pulpy adventures, kind of like the Gold Key. And all, I think the first, I think it was about 20 different total stories that came out, and I think they reproduce 10 of them here in this book. And the interesting thing is that let's turn this camera here sideways here. That Ilia died in spoiler. Ilia wasn't even in Star Trek the Motion Picture, yet she shows up in these stories. They must have not got the memo that Ilia actually died in the movie. She does disappear later in the adventures. And these are just great stories. So let's take a look at a couple of these. I was reading some of these earlier. So Captain's Log, Stardate 7495.3. The recent drain upon our dilithium reserves critically limits our range and capability. The Enterprise is marginally operational. Engineering the bridge. We have a wee problem. Resisting that tractor beam has fused nearly all our reserve dilithium. All right, Scotty. Shut down warp engines and all non-essential systems. We'll continue on impulse power. Lieutenant Ilia, what are our options, besides the fact that you should be dead? The shortest route to the nearest starbase is through the Romulan Klingon neutral zone at sub-warp speed that should take us 4.2 years. Wow. Or we could reach planet Forma 5 in 9 days, according to the navigational computer. A mining colony there chose to remain after the dilithium played out 80 years ago. Captain, a played out mine might have enough dilithium remaining for our purpose. Let's hope so, Spock. I'm not eager to spend years crawling past the Klingons and Romulans. Stardate 7504.3. Captain, Forma 6 coming into the central range, now with 2 objects in orbit, a weather satellite, and a Klingon battle cruiser. You notice here they switched to black and white, because the dailies were in black and white. Captain's Log 7504.3. On the threshold of total burnout, of our dilithium reserves. We are en route to form a 7 or 6. 7 must have blew up. And our hope of replenishing our supply from a played out mine there. Former 6 coming into sensor range now, Captain, with a Klingon heavy cruiser in orbit. Aboard the Klingon ship. Something approaching us at sub-warp speed. Aboard the Klingon ship. Captain, approaching vessel is a Starfleet heavy cruiser, Constitution class. A Starfleet sub, a Starfleet ship traveling at sub-warp speed. They're disabled, or they're faking. At this range, the Klingons must already have identified us. As a Starfleet cruiser, yes, the shape is unmistakable. Limping toward them on impulse power would be inviting trouble, and trying to run from them would be suicidal. Bridge to engineering, Scotty. A Klingon ship is orbiting the planet. Can we sustain warp 5 for our final approach? This guy looks like he tied one on there. Look, this guy's looking a little peaked. He was a drinker, though. We just might manage warp 3. Better drain us. We'd be in no shape for combat. I know, Scotty, but with a bit of luck, we'll avoid it. Kirk running for a battle. Only a fool would reveal a weakness to a Klingon. Go to warp 3, Mr. Sulu. Warp 3, aye, sir. They jump to warp speed. The jump to warp speed is instantaneous. Captain, Starfleet vessel now closing at warp 3. Battle stations. Contact at ground on the planet. I must have a task for them. Oh, look at these hippy dippies here. So, these are very interesting stories. I mean, they're obviously, because they were newspaper strips, they're going to, do a lot of the things newspaper strips do, which is basically repeat a lot of the stories, because you have to do a lot of recaps for people who didn't read this every single day. And then, of course, the Sundays would recap the weekly adventures. But really neat stories and kind of lost stories of the Starship Enterprise. Now, these are available. You can buy these on the Eaglemoss site, so you don't have to be subscribed to the collection in order to buy these. You can also buy these. In Stock Trades has the I think they put out IDW put out 2 hardcover collections of these that are basically reproduced here. The first 10 stories and the last 10 stories. It's a little pricey. I think they go for around $30 each, but they are hardcover bound editions. You can buy these, I think, on the Eaglemoss site for anywhere between $15 and $20, and they're a good size hardcover. So I would recommend them. It's good stuff, and I'll